Hello everyone. Well, today we're going to have an idea. I'm going to give you an idea about how national exam would be like. So, considering national exam is composed of three parts. The first part is a text with comprehension questions, as you can see here. We have a paper just for a text, right? And the second paper in which we have the questions of comprehension. And as you can see, we have here A, B, C, D, and we have here E, F, right? So as you can see here, we have a place here, just we have a note, as you can see, which means that you shouldn't write anything in this place here, right? So the second part of the national exam is language, which is on 15 points. And it's composed of all the grammar lessons that we have studied along this year. And again, we have here A, B, C, D, E, F, and G. And the last part is on writing, which is on 10 points, and which is divided into two parts, two tasks, or two exercises. Task number 1 here is on 4 points, and task number 2 is on 6 points, which gives us 40 points considering the national exam note. But in your paper or the exam, when you're going to have your final mark, it's going to be just on 20. So what am I going to do in this video is just I'm going to explain to you questions related to comprehension and language as well. Language questions. So this is what you're going to see next. We're going to have a lesson about how to deal with comprehension and language questions in the national exam, which means that this lesson is just for second year baccalaureate students. Right, move on. So as you can see here, we have here a text. So it's a text, as you can see, it's composed of 6 paragraphs. The first thing you have to bear in mind is how many paragraphs have we got. So as you can see, we have here 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6. We have 6 paragraphs. And as you know, you have to know how to deal with this kind of text, of course. And the text is given on a independent paper. And the second thing you should bear in mind after knowing how many paragraphs you have got, you have to have a look at the pictures or the photos you've got there. They give you a certain idea about the text and how it's going to be about. The third thing you have to know is of course sometimes they give you a title of the text, and here the title is on Inspiring Women from Morocco. So now we're going to go in detail with the questions that you're going to have in the national exam, especially the comprehension. So this is it here. This is the paper. As you can see, we have many questions. We have question A, B, C, D, and then we have E, F, and so on, right? So we start with question A. We have here, fill in the chart with the right information from the text. So as you can see, this is the chart. Is the table here that you've got, and we have many information in it. We have number 1, name of the woman, number 2, money donated, number 3, purpose, number 4, place and region. So of course this chart means that you have to look for the information in the text. All you need to do is to look for the keywords which are the most important words in the question, in the text, of course, or in the question, and you have to scan the text and then you find the answer. Before proceeding, of course, I want to draw your attention to a very important remark here, which is base all your answers on the text, which means all the answers that you've got here, you have all the answers, you have to find them just in the text, not in out of the text, which is a good thing for you if you apply these pieces of advice I'm going to give you. Of course, you're not going to have problems. That's all in the national exam, right? So question B now is about true or false, and of course it's not enough just to write true or false. You have to justify, which means this question here that you have to decide if the sentence is true or false, and you have to give the right justification from the text. As I told you, all the answers must be taken from the text. And of course, if it's true, you have to justify, and if it's false, you have to justify. So as I told you here, in order to, again, you should look for the keywords and compare them with the questions, which means you have to read the sentence from the beginning till the end, and then you're going to read the text and you have to compare both answers, and then you can decide if it's true, you justify, and if it's false, you justify. Right. So now let's go now to question number C, which is answer these questions. Here we call this one, we call them, of course, WH questions. Just to remind you of some of them, we have number one, we have what, we use it for general information. We have when, use it for time. We have where, for place. We have who, for person. We have how, for manner. How much, for quantity. And then we have how long, for duration. How many, for number. And how old, for age. And then after that, you have to underline the keywords, and then you'll find the correct answer, which means we have two things to do. Number one, you should know what you are required to ask. Is it, so if you have, for example, here, if we have where, you are going to give a place. And after that, you have to underline the keywords, for example, the name that we've got there, and we have some verbs and things like that. Because in question number two, we have how, and again, here we are required to give the manner or the way, and of course you have to underline the keywords as well. And the last one, we have who, which is about a person. Here you should write the name of a person. It can be a name, proper name, it can be a job, and it can be anything that has a relation with that person. Right. Now let's move on to question D. Question D, we have complete the following sentences with the information from the text. Here, you should, this question means that you have to finish the ideas, which means they give you the beginning of an idea or the first part of an idea, and you have to finish it from the text. Again, here, all you need to do is to look for the keywords, the most important words in the text, then you scan the text, and then you will find, I'm sure, you're going to find the answer. Right, now we're going to move now to question E. We are still in the comprehension questions section. We have the question here, find in the text words that mean the same as. Here, the question means that you have to look for the synonym of the given words. Here lies the importance of having a good vocabulary. This is what shows us that the student is good, or the student's level is good at English when we have this kind of vocabulary. So here the answer can be single word, which means just one word, or a group of words. For example, here number one, we have a large amount of money. They give you here, I mean the word where you are going to find. For example, the first one is in paragraph number 1, and the second one, the second word is in paragraph number 5. Now let's go now to question F. Question F says, what do the underlined words in the text refer to? It means that you have to find the reference over the underlined words, which means in the text, if you go back to the text, the independent paper, or the paper in which we have just the text, you're going to have some underlined words. They tell you, what does it mean? What does it refer to? For example, here we have each word found in a paragraph. For example, we have the first word is in paragraph number 1, which is the country. You have to go back to the word which is there, and you go back and tell us which country is mentioned there. We have the school. Of course, you should give the name of a school which is there, or which school. Is it a primary school? Is it whatever it is? So you should write the name, either the function, either the place, and so on. So I think here the first part of our exam, we have finished it. Of course, I'm going to give you more examples in the coming videos, during the coming lessons, so as to have a good idea about these kind of things. So this is all concerning section number 1, which is about the comprehension questions section. Now we're going to move now to the second part, which is about the language section. In the language section, as you can see here, we have next to it, we have 15 points. As you can see here, concerning language, We have question A. We have here two sentences, and in these two sentences we have what we call multiple choice questions, because you have here two different lessons. So as you can see, we have question number or sentence number one, we have three choices, and sentence number two, we have three choices there, which means in the language section, if you have two sentences, it means that you have two lessons, and if you have three sentences, which means that you have three lessons. Sometimes they give you two sentences about the same lesson, so it's up to you to understand the lesson and what it is here. For example, number one, the first one, here we have here the choices that we've got. We have make, do, and take. And I think it's clear that this lesson is about collocations with make, do, and take. And I think that we did this lesson before. Just check your lessons notebooks in order to have more information about that. Concerning the second one, is about phrasal verbs, and I think we had the exercises, we did listen the exercises, and I told you how to deal with this kind of questions. And I think concerning how to answer, you just choose the correct answer and you write it, I mean, in the space which is given, which is left for you there, which is given to you in both sentences. Right. Now let's go now to the second question B. In this question here, again, we have give the correct form of the words in brackets. We have here words, which means the words, we have nouns there. Here, this question means that you have to change the words between brackets in the correct form, which means it's about prefixes and suffixes. So as you can see, we have celebration between brackets. We have celebration, which is a noun. You are required to change it either to a verb, either to a ing form or whatever. So it depends on your understanding of this question. Number two, we have punish, which is between brackets. Of course, you have to change it into a noun. We have a verb there, change it to a noun. And for more information, you have to revise your lesson and in your notebooks, because we've seen all these things and I explained I mean this lesson and we did exercises about them in the classroom. Right. So let's go now to question C. Again here, concerning question C, we have three sentences. We have sentence number one, number two, and number three. Again, as I told you in question A, the same thing can be applied in question C. So in question C, we have three sentences, which means that you have three lessons. So each sentence represents a lesson. So the first sentence is about reported speech, as you can see it here. Why is it a reported speech? Because we have the first, if you compare this sentence with the other ones, as you'll find that we have the inverted commas there, and we have asked and we have wanted to know. So as you can see here, we have the challenge to know if it's which lesson is that and which part of lesson is it. Here, as you can see, is about WH questions. Number two, we have they will equip highways with sophisticated cameras. We have highways. Sentence starts with highways, which means is about the passive voice. Again, here you have to check your lessons, notebooks, and check, of course, the exercise part of it. So right, you have lessons which is about passive voice. Question number three, I guess you guessed the meaning of it, or which lesson is that? It's about conditional type 3. And we did so many exercises about that. Here they give you the first part of the sentence, and you have to finish the rule, and you'll get the full point. Of course, sometimes they give you the half, sometimes they give you the whole sentence to do. So it depends. In both cases, I think you are well prepared for that. Right, now we're going to move to question D. Let's read the question here. We have put the verbs in brackets in the correct form. So here, the verbs between brackets is about, you have to give here the correct tense of the verb. And I think we did so many exercises about that, and they give you in the beginning of the year a paper which is pasted in the lessons part of your notebooks, in which we have all the tenses that we studied, the affirmative form of it, positive, negative, and of course interrogative form of it. And I give you the signal words, which are the most important things that you have to bear in mind. Now we finished with A, B, C, and D. Let's go now to next questions, which is E. Here we have fill in the blanks with the appropriate words from the list. Again, here you are given multiple choice questions again, which means you're having two different lessons. The first one is just a look at the options that we've got. We have despite, since, and whereas. Here we have three choices, three options. I think you got the lesson. It's about the linking words, right? The second one, I can't remember the person sent this video. The second one, no, it's not about phrasal verbs, it's about relative pronoun. We had a mistake there. It's not about phrasal verb, it's about what we call the relative pronouns. We have who, which, and whose. Here we have, as you can see, I think this is the classic example of functions. You're going to have a chart, expressions on the first side and functions on the other side. You have to define which function that you've got. So you should here memorize at least three expressions of each function. It's a very easy question, so don't miss it. You shouldn't miss that. Concerning how to answer, as you can see at the bottom of the table, at the bottom of the table we have four answers. We have 1, 2, 3, and 4. Either you write A, B, C, or D in the correct place. So I think that's all for concerning the last example, concerning question F. As I told you, it's a very easy question, so don't miss it. So I think this is all concerning my explanation concerning the first part of the national exam about comprehension question, and the second one, which is about the language questions. So I think that's it. This is the end of this video. We're going to meet in another video with other lessons.